So just like we had the cosine rule for, the sine rule for angles and sides, we have the cosine rule for angles and sides. And if you remember with the sine rule, we flip the rule upside down when we're trying to find an angle. With this, we use a bit of algebra to rearrange the rule. Now, you guys can remember the rule this way, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm fairly sure for those of you doing standard maths, actually I know for those of you doing standard maths that this form of the formula, both forms of the cos rule formula are written down. Nonetheless, I think it's kind of important to sort of see where it comes from. So I'm just going to zip across here. And if we remember, the formula we were using yesterday was c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos c. So if I add this section here to both sides, so if I come along and I say I'm going to add that to both sides, so 2ab cos c, which means I've got to add 2ab cos c to this side, I'm going to end up with c squared plus 2ab cos c equals a squared plus b squared. And now the next thing I'll do, we're just doing a bit of algebra, and this is really how it comes about. We'll just take away c squared from both sides. If I take away c squared from both sides, that's going to cancel that out, and I'm going to be left with 2ab cos c equals a squared plus b squared minus c squared. And now I just want to get cos c on its own, so if I just divide both sides by 2ab, then that is going to cancel out with that, but I have to do that to both sides. So I'm going to end up with cos c equals a squared plus b squared minus c squared all over, whoop, that's a terrible line, we'll try that one again, shall we? All over 2ab, which is the form we've got here. So just if you are in a situation where you're only given one form of the cos rule, you can just use a bit of algebra to create the other form. That's all that's going on here. Again, though, we're after two sides in the included angle. Now, in this particular case, because we're going backwards, what we actually need is we need to know all three sides, and then from that we'll work out an angle. Now, importantly, if this is my side C, so I'm going to just go with, if that's my side C, then that's my angle C. Okay, so I can only find, although it doesn't matter which one I call A and B, it really, really matters which side I call C. So we'll follow that through with the first example here, and I'll try and point that out a bit clearer. So we want to find our size of angle PQR. So there's the angle we care about, and that's the side that's opposite. So this here is our C, all right? And everything else is our A and our B. A and B. Okay, so really important that the side that's opposite the angle that we want to find out, that's the side that we're calling C. So we'll use our formula here, which is cos C equals A squared plus B squared minus C squared over 2AB. Once again, as always, write the formula down, substitute in the formula. Do it right when you're doing your answers in your book, because that way you'll do it right when you're doing it on assessment tasks and you'll never have a problem. So in this particular case, it doesn't matter which one I call A or B, as long as I get C right. So 5.8 squared plus 6.6 squared minus 9.2 squared. So that's the one, that 9.2, the one that's opposite the angle we're interested in, has to be the one with the minus sign in front of it, and has to be the one that goes last. All over 2 times 5.8 times 6.6. So we'll plug all that into the calculator and see what we get. So we're going to have 5.8 squared plus 6.6 squared minus 9.2 squared. And that's going to be all over 2 times 5.8 times 6.6. And that's going to give me negative 0.09. I think that was a 7 next, wasn't it? Yeah, 7. And I'll just put some dots there. Now, obviously, in this particular case, that doesn't look like the answer we want, and the clue should be there in that the formula tells us what cos C equals. So at this point, we know that cos of C equals that. So C is going to be cos to the minus 1 of what we just found, 0.097 dot, 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 dot. So we put that into our calculator. So shift cos of the answer we just got. Remember, use that formula, use that basic system of using the answer that's in the calculator. That way you're not trying to write in some ugly number and you're not making errors when you're typing it in. And that's going to get me 95.57. We're finding an angle, so we just go back up and check in the question. It wants it to 1 decimal place. We're not going to degrees and minutes. So 95.6 degrees to 1 decimal place. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Find the size of angle ABC in degrees and minutes. So ABC, that's my angle there that I'm interested in. Okay, which means that this is the angle and side that are opposite, so they're going to be my C, right? And then this here, there's my angle and my two sides in the included angle. That's my two sides, which are the A and the B. Okay, so as we put that together into the formula, we've got cos C equals A squared plus B squared minus C squared over 2AB. Remembering that you will get given this formula, so you don't have to try and remember it, you just have to know when to apply it. That's going to be the most important thing to remember, and how to apply it. So 4.5 squared, we don't care which one we call A or B, what matters is which one we call C. Minus 8.37 squared, all over 2 times 4.5 times 8.25. And I might just make the point here that there's my pink one, there's the bit that relates to C, and these are the bits that relate to A and B. Okay, so I'll put that into the calculator, and we're going to get 4.5 squared plus 8.25 squared minus 8.37 squared over 2 times by 4.5 times by 8.25. And that's going to give me 0.245 blah, 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 blah. And then I'll just pause. So that all worked out to be 0.245, whatever it is. Of course, remember, we want the angle. That doesn't look like a likely angle. We've got to, in order to find C, we're going to have to go cos to the minus 1 of 0.245 dot, dot, dot. Put that in a calculator, and the best way to put that in the calculator is go shift and cos of the answer. And there we go, and that's 75.76, but this question asks for degrees and minutes. So press the degrees, minutes, seconds button. So 75 degrees, 46 minutes and 1 second. So that 1 second's not going to round us up any, so 75 degrees, 46 minutes. And that's that one solved. And our final example we've got here involves a triangle that has yet to be appropriately named. So we're going to have, yet to be drawn. So I'll pull out my ruler. Now, I don't really care if this isn't to scale. When you're drawing your triangle, just draw 3 sides, and we won't worry too much about whether it's to scale. All right, so there's my triangle, and it says we've got, now obviously this is going to be my longest side here, so I'm going to call that one the 14 centimeter one, and I've got a 12 centimeter side, so I'll make that my second longest, and I've got a 7 centimeter side, and it's quite clear that this is not to scale. And I want to calculate the size of the smallest angle. So the smallest angle is always opposite the smallest side. So there's the smallest side, so this in here must be the smallest angle, which means this is going to be my A and my B here. So it's really, really helpful to draw a picture and get a bit of an idea of that. Okay, but do remember that in order to have a big side, you need a big angle. To have a small side, you're going to need a small angle. So the smallest angle is going to be opposite that shortest side. So let's have a crack at this. Write out our formula. So cos C equals a squared plus b squared minus c squared all over 2ab. So that's going to equal, in this case, 12 squared plus 14 squared minus 7 squared all over 2 times 12 times 14. We'll plug that into our calculator. So create a fraction, 12 squared plus 14 squared, minus 7 squared, all over 2 times 12 times 14. Once again, it doesn't matter if I get the order wrong with the A and the B, so that will work out just fine, even though I put it in the wrong order down the bottom. So I end up with 97 over 112. And then C is going to equal cos to the minus 1 of 97 over 112. It's always nice when you get a nice little fraction there. It generally happens if you've got whole numbers. So I'm going to go shift cos of my previous answer, and that's going to give me my size of my angle, 29.99. What did it actually ask me to do? Calculate the size of the smallest angle, but it doesn't tell me to do it to degrees or minutes or seconds. Let's do this to degrees, minutes, seconds. Well, it's actually, to the nearest minute, it's actually going to round up to 30 degrees, no minutes. So 30 degrees, 0 minutes gives us our answer to that question. All right, so once again, just get in the habit of being able to spot it. If you've got 3 sides, you can find any angle on the triangle, but just make sure that the side that's opposite the angle you're trying to find is the one that you call C. Okay? If we'd done this one and we wanted to find the other angle, say for instance, I'll just do this in red, say if we wanted to find this angle in here, then 12 centimeters would have become our C. Okay? So you just have to be aware of how to use that formula. I'm just going to undo there. There we go. Let's fix that. You just have to be aware of when to apply the formula and how to effectively use the formula. And that's the end of this lesson.